Solar scam.
Enough already, enough! The solar industry in Florida is absolutely being dragged through the mud right now by unscrupulous national companies with unscrupulous door knockers, and we have all had enough. The reality is there are some legitimate companies who generate business from door-to-door sales. It's a normal practice, it's a practice as old as time, and it won't go away. But there are companies out there who are taking advantage of the boom in solar in Florida, and they are stopping at nothing to harass the living heck out of individual homeowners in the state of Florida, to harass them and to bully them into buying. All right, today on this video, we're going to talk about several different ways that you can kind of tell the difference between these national sales conglomerates and a reputable local company who might be knocking at your door. So let's dig in. All right, folks. Well, thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to try to do our part to disrupt these terrible business practices that are taking place in the solar industry. So let's take a look at a few red flags that you can identify right away to see, whether or not the person knocking on your door is legitimate or whether they're just a fly-by-night operation. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you have a funny video, or excuse me, a funny story about someone knocking on your door, please comment below. All right. So one of the first things we want to look at, are they local? Is this a local company that you're talking to? The sad reality is that these national corporate mega conglomerate sales companies are not only based not in your town, they're not even based in Florida. These companies drop caravans of door knockers. I'm talking 2 and 3 vans filled with people that go to a neighborhood. They knock on every single door in the neighborhood, every single door on the city. They get whatever sales that they can, and then they move on to the next town, never to be seen or heard from again. So very simply, ask your salesman, do you live nearby? Are you someone that lives within a reasonable distance of my house? 40 miles, 50 miles at the most is probably a reasonable distance for somebody who's actually going to service, maintain, and maybe work on your solar system. Another easy question is, are you involved locally? Are you involved in the local chamber of commerce? Are you involved in the local builders association, local youth sports, your local Kiwanis club, whatever the case may be? Is this company actually truly involved locally, or do they just have a P.O. box somewhere in your town, if they even have that, and it's just some guy knocking on doors and he'll be gone, the next day? So pretty easy to tell whether or not somebody is truly local, and to me, that's one of the biggest red flags with these door knockers, because they're not even from around here. The second thing we want to look at is, do they develop the projects themselves? So in solar, in the industry, it's very normal, for even local companies to use some subcontractors on the job. At our company, for example, we will oversee the project from start to finish, but we do bring in contractors for electrical and for the installation and labor and different parts of it. But we're there kind of from the beginning to the end. We're the client managers, we're the overseer, the developer of the project, and we're going to hold your hand from the beginning until the end, and then long into the warranty phase and afterwards. If this company, if the person knocking on your door isn't from your town or isn't even from Florida, the odds are extremely likely that the company who's actually building your project is also not from Florida. And to me, that's a huge red flag, because you really have to know the local permitting, the local codes, the local kind of just way of doing business. To drop ship in a national company, build your project, and then jump back out is just not the way that you should do business. I mean, think about it. What other home improvement would you do business with a national sales conglomerate? If you needed a new kitchen or new plumbing or a new roof or an air conditioner, in what world or what scenario would you ever deal, with one of these national mega conglomerates? And the reality is you wouldn't, right? So there's no sense in doing that for solar either. Focus on the local companies, at bare minimum the Florida companies, and more times than not, these are not the guys that are deploying these armies of people knocking on your door. One simple test is just ask the salesperson, can you get the owner of your company on the phone right now? Pretty simple, right? Any of our salespeople at Sailfish Solar can get me on the phone, within 30 seconds or a minute, and that's the reality of how a small to mid-sized business operates. People are familiar with your file, familiar with your case, familiar with your project. You're not just a number that's being processed through, like a piece of cattle from one end to the other. And so that is a big difference, and just one big red flag you want to kind of keep an eye out for. One of the other things that we really have to keep an eye out for is, are they asking you to sign a contract right there on the spot. Again, if you think about it, in what other scenario would you sign a contract for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of an investment in an hour after hearing a sales pitch? There's no other time. Even a car shopping takes longer than that, right? So there's no other scenario where you would sign a contract that sizable, in the matter of an hour of somebody sitting in your living room. So that's a huge red flag. And that's these door knockers, that's their bread and butter. Again, they want to get in, give you their pitch, and get out before you have a chance to even think twice. If the salesman isn't willing to let you think about it for a day or two, that's a major red flag, right? Our salespeople are not allowed to sign a client right away. Flat out, they're not allowed to do that. There has to be some sort of period of time for you to truly understand the nature of this investment and the nature of this fairly complex electromechanical engineering feat that's going on your roof, right? Most of your typical kind of shady door-to-door salesmen, they're very transactional, right? Whether it's somebody who's door-to-door selling a vacuum cleaner or door-to-door selling timeshare or whatever the case is, they're typically in and then they're out the next day and you're never talking to that person again. That is not what you want with a solar company. First of all, solar projects at bare minimum are going to take 60 to 90 days to even build the project. And then after that, there's maintenance. There's very little maintenance in solar, but there's a need to have a relationship with that local company after the project is already complete, whether it's net metering, whether it's warranty issues, whether it's just production and output and questions and follow-up and so on. So you really have to have somebody local. Again, in no other scenario would you hire one of these out-of-state conglomerate sales companies with an army of door knockers for something that is this sizable of an investment that's going to be part of your life for as long as you're living in that house. You want a partner who wants to be with you for the long run, and one way you can tell is somebody who wants a referral from you. And the way typically people who want referrals are people who live in town and they have a reputation, locally that they want to live up to. One of the fourth things that you want to look for is, are they using all the buzzwords, right? In one of our other videos, we talk about solar scams and kind of the different solar buzzwords that you'll hear all these salesmen using. Things like government programs, things like limited time offer. If they tell you that because you live in this zip code, you qualify, that's total bogus. Or because you're a client of Florida Power and Light or Duke Energy, that all of a sudden you qualify. Total bogus, right? We have all the other scams covered, and that video will pop up, when this video is over. But these are major red flags, and if somebody's feeding you that line of nonsense, that's a pretty big indicator that you want to think twice about doing business with that person. Again, there are legitimate door knockers, but they're much smaller in quantity than these caravans of guys that are absolutely plaguing this industry. Solar door knockers are the scourge of this industry, and we are as anxious as you probably are to get them out of here. So I hope this was helpful. We just wanted to make sure that there is some content out there on the internet on what to look for. We completely understand your frustration with these door knockers. Trust me, we're tired of them too. I'm tired of every time I talk to somebody down at the baseball field or wherever it is, and the first thing they say to me is, "Oh, you're in the solar business. Are you those door knocking scam artists?" And the answer is certainly not our company. We don't operate like that. We don't even think in those terms. But it is just an absolute scourge on the industry, and that hopefully something will be done about them soon. But for now, at least you have an idea of kind of what to look for. Take a look at the next video that talks about solar scams. If you have any funny or weird or disappointing stories about a door knocker, we'd love to hear them in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. We'd love to have you following us for some of our future videos. And if you have any questions, if you want a legitimate solar estimate for your house, by all means, please give us a call or visit our website or send us an email. All right, folks, that's all for now. Thank you so much for stopping by.